understand it because I understand it, but I understand your side too. I'm not wrong. Are you a business owner or no?
Yeah, but wait a minute. So when you're investing in real estate out there, you become a landlord. So essentially, you're taking on headache anyway of a tenant.
But you get paid for the headache. You don't get paid for the headache. I guess you do it with your equity of your own house. You could say take it out afterwards, but it's not as tax beneficial as being an investor, right? You know the cash flow quadrant.
Cash flow quadrant. No, what's up? What is that?
So picture 4 squares, okay? So E is employee, you work at a job, okay? You get taxed on there. S is self-employed, okay? That's where you own a job. And then you have to pay up to 40% tax. You get write-offs, but it's you like hustling doing lawns, okay? On the other side of the quadrant, which your grandson and I'm on, is you're a business owner. You have a system working for you as a business owner. You get tax breaks. And then I is investor, okay? That's where you get money working for you. So when you're on the BI side, okay, business owner and investor cash flow quadrant, it makes sense as a business owner to then you get tax benefits from being an investor. But if you are on and this is what Jonathan, who with his big grin, was saying, if you are just an employee, right, and you're working at a job, then yeah, you don't have maybe the luxury of the capital investing stuff. So yes, I'm with you, Carlos. It might make sense to have your own house then, right? I'm with you. I'm against. I don't believe everything that Grant says, but I do understand his principle, and it's worked well for me.
So you agree that he's on bullshit sometimes?
I agree we're all on bullshit sometimes, man. I agree I was bullshitting about tariffs before they were calling me out, man. I don't know what I was talking about. So, but dude, I love everybody, man, where they're at. I'm just happy Grant and Gary Brecka made up, man. I saw it today. I was so happy because those are two of my favorite guys. So
You talking about? Oh, they made up?
they made up. They're in the podcast too. That's why I came up here. I wanted to ask Grant, but he wasn't here before, which is good, man, because my goal is to inspire others always. I'm the most kumbaya guy there is. I don't ever like to make anybody upset. I like to be respectful. I want to be the most respectful. Grant always had this thing. I don't care if people like me. I want people to flow me, whether I'm liked or I'm going to be the most known. My thing is I want to be the most known and the most liked. So.
Wait a minute now. Hold on. Luis in the chat put, fuck you, Jeff. You must have said Luis off.
Yeah, that's all right. Luis, you can't win them all, man. As you start getting popular, man, people don't like you. I'm learning that. We rebranded now after I own a marketing consulting firm, so I build webinars and stuff like that. So in that thing, people always get mad because I get paid a lot for my knowledge. Hello?
Hey, sorry, are you on the phone? I forgot
I'm on chatter right now, but it's okay.
We can hear all your stuff, man. What's going on? You gonna get?
Oh.
Jeff, you're off mute.
I know. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm like Grant. Put the show on. All right, Jonathan's here. Jonathan, take over. All right.
Oh wow! Thank you so much. I appreciate you letting me take over.
What?
The fuck is this? Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. So, hey guys, once again, guys, hey guys, welcome back to Chatter, man. Oh man. So yeah, guys, it's look, the markets are crashing. All right, the world markets are crashing, and we got once again Grant coming in here. He's like, I don't care. I'm not invested in the market, but it could crash 40% is what he said. So and people are like, yeah,
He'll be panicking. That market crashed 40%. Grant will be panicking.
Of course he would. All right, but people took it literally. People took that literally and like, oh yeah, okay. I'm trying to find them because I can't talk about it because like I said, the Messiah has spoken. But they're like the Messiah has spoken. At 40% it is. So they're gonna be doing social media posts about the market can crash 40%. I'll be okay. And people are gonna look at it like, get your silly ass out of here. But that's what we signed up for, man. When we start inviting people into our space, the silliness and shit. That's what we get. Prior to social media, we didn't have all of this shit coming into our space. Hey, we decided to get on social media, social audio. We have this craziness coming to our space. So, welcome to Debate the News, folks. We're back. We're once again we're speaking about the tariffs, guys. We're in a full-fledged tariff war, and people are out here defending us going to war with 85 countries. All right, This is a tariff war. Okay, make no mistake. Would you guys agree that this is a tariff war? I want to. When they said that we're trying to get our country back, what I want to do is I just want to see how honest people are, because this. Give me one moment here, guys. I'm gonna put a quick poll up, and I want to see what the response is. And then let's just see how many people are really being honest. And I just want to see that, because this is going to show, I guess, what we're dealing with. Okay. So there it is. The poll is now completed. Go there and put your answer there. So yeah, that's what I want, guys, because everyone is saying it, and people are saying we're going to win it. Okay, so I want to see who's naive enough to think that that's not the case. Once again, guys, vote on and on CH. Put the question is, are we in a tariff war? Put a 1 for yes and put a 2 for no. 1 for yes and 2 for no. Are we in a tariff war? That's the question I have here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and vote myself, because are we in a tariff war? So that's crazy. We got a couple dum-dums that's saying no. Really dumb people. I think they want attention. I think they either they have a psychological condition, or they want attention. All right. But and I'm not saying that to influence anyone's vote, because they even say we're in a tariff war and we're going to win. Okay, they even say, we're going to win. People are going to back down. This is negotiation. Okay, this is negotiation. We're in a war. We're going to win this back because we've been getting ripped off all this time. But then you have the assholes that want to be whatever. But once again, So the answer, it's overwhelmingly yes. So what I'm getting is, so here's the deal. So we're in a tariff war, obviously, and it's factual. Who goes to war with 185 people at the same time by themselves?
Donald Trump's crazy ass.
And how do you win that war, guys? Okay, our biggest protector that makes the United States safe is we have Canada above us and Mexico below us. So we're insulated, and then we have the oceans on both sides. And thank God he didn't tax the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, okay, for the waves hitting our coast, all right? But that's what insulates us. That's what makes us safe. So we're at war with Canada on top of us, okay, that usually makes us safe, and Mexico below us, okay? And, so we're at war with everyone. Okay, we hit everyone the same way with tariffs. So there's no reason to be our friend. There's no reason. I mean, guys, if something happens, okay, I don't know, Germany. We got bases in Germany. We have bases in Sweden. No, we're going to have a base in Sweden. We have bases all around the world. In Africa, in the Middle East, everywhere. We tariffed the fuck out of everyone. We tariffed every one of them. All right? So now, when our leases are up, and they say, hey, you know what? While our leases are up, guess what happens, folks? They say, yeah, we don't even want you guys here no more. And we're like, wait. But our Northern Fleet, all this other, yeah, but we don't want to do it anymore. Okinawa, and Japan, Japanese, we don't want you guys here no more. All right. So, that's what's at stake here, guys. I think it's a security risk. So a lot of people sitting here like, oh yeah, Donald Trump's the best. Oh my God. How he's doing this is he's genius. But once again, we have bases everywhere. All right. And when it's time to renegotiate those leases, they can charge an exorbitant amount of money because we can't really afford to leave. So, once again, guys, there's many ways that they can win with us. Many different ways. And so we're sitting here, and I don't know, we got one man that's doing all of this, but everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's good. This is gonna be brilliant." This is
But
not
it's
the.
Trump is winning though.
Yeah, he's winning. Trump's definitely winning, folks. I won't take that from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is definitely winning,
That's the
but
whole
is
idea.
but is America winning?
That's not his concern. You got to see everything. The reason why this doesn't make any sense economically because it is not an economic move. Trump is winning. This is Trump's strategy. It has worked for him before. You dismantle the institution and bring everybody to the table. Trump doesn't hide the things that he do. You just have to listen to him and watch his ways. He wants to bring everybody to the table. Divine asked an important question tonight that nobody answered. Why is he bringing people to the table? That's the key. Why does Trump want to renegotiate? It's not. This is not an economic move. He's not concerned about negotiating with just countries. He's also targeting companies and CEOs. Why does he want to bring them to the table to have them pledge loyalty? What is the big grand strategy here? Trump is going for loyalty. That's why he wants everybody to come to the
Wow,
table. If Trump
interesting.
is thinking about prolonging himself, prolonging his reign, this is the time he has to lay the foundation. He cannot wait till the midterm. This is the time. Bring everybody to the table one by one. That's why he's playing golf. He's not worried for one bit because he knows that his grand strategy, his plan is winning. So when these companies, CEOs, everybody comes to cut a deal, that's when they pledge loyalty and they cut a deal individually. Trump is trying to establish himself as a perennial ruler. That's the only way this makes any sense. And I land my plane there.
You know what, Sir Jude? I, I I never thought about that. That seems very logical. You know, he gets to have one on ones. Skull, you ready to jump in? He gets to have one on ones with everyone. He gets to have one on ones with everyone, guys,
That was
because
how you conquered the Republican Party. That's why the Republican Party, everybody is on his bed. Supreme Court justices, everybody's on his bed. It's on one with everybody. That's how he dominates. That's his modus operandi. He has worked for him. Now he's taken it out into a grander scale. That's Trump right there. I'm
let me
done.
just say, let me say this now and hand over the Skull, guys. The reason I'm concerned is this. All right, right. We're cutting the State Department staff. Okay, and Marco Rubio said I think 1,600 people took the buyout from the State Department, and you got 185 countries. All right, if you're gonna have, I guess, negotiations with 185 countries at the same time, you need a staff. You need a staff for just about every one of those countries. All right, because you don't want to miss something. You definitely need a staff. We don't have, and Trump is not set up to in a position to negotiate with 185, have 185 different negotiations going on at the same time. So yeah, Sir Jude, what you said makes a lot of sense. Skull, are you here, sir?
I am. I am.
Talk to. Well, first of all, I want to update him. Give us a market update in the Asian markets. And I don't think no one from Europe came online yet, right? Europe hasn't come online yet, I don't believe. But give us an update what's going on with the Asian markets and Australian markets
Well,
and African.
we had another halt on the Nikkei, which is the Japanese stock exchange. Full trading halt. Now China has had halts on individual tickers. They rarely do market wide halts, but they more frequently than most other exchanges do halts on individual tickers. Right, so their drawdown percentage is actually smaller than most other stock exchanges on individual tickers. So they'll only let a given company fall a certain percent, and then they'll freeze it. That's how China works. And then if a certain number of stocks in the total freeze, then they'll freeze the market, right? So they do that math a little differently than some other markets do. So if you're unaware, folks, what I'm talking about here is called circuit breakers. So basically, most exchanges, I think all, exchanges have circuit breakers built into them. There's different rules, different percentages, but long story short, what you need to know about this fact is very simple, which is it's a number at which if a stock or group of stocks or the whole market falls by a certain percentage, all trading freezes to give people time to calm down, right? So it's literally like, we've seen like actual panic set in, and we've just paused it for a little bit in order to get people to chill. So if you're seeing those happening, that there is a certain level of panic in the market, or else they wouldn't be occurring. You wouldn't have the freezes happening in the first place. On a normal trading day, we don't even talk about circuit breakers, folks. We don't even talk about this kind of crap.
It's market manipulation.
Who's manipulating it, Grant?
If they're freezing the markets, they're being manipulated.
It's not. It's a reasonable break in which, if you look at the fear and greed index right now, it's at a 4. This number goes from 1 to 100. It's at a 4. This is the highest level of fear we have seen in the market, as far as I know, since the index was created. I mean, COVID was near here. I think COVID was like a 5 or a 6 out of 100, right? But I mean, it is bad. So, at a certain point in time, you want to let rationality take over, right? You don't want people panic selling. And so what these breaks try to do is try to get people to calm down a little bit. And so we're seeing that a little bit here overnight, which is not a good sign. And I'll just go ahead and leave it at that.
Is Grant saying that by freezing it, that's how they manipulate it? They should let it just stay open?
Skull, you said it's a 4, but you really meant a 45, right?
The fear?
The VIX index.
No, not the VIX. There's the fear and greed index, which is a 0 to 100. VIX is volatility.
And you're saying
right?
it's a 4 is high or 4 is low?
4 is low. So the fear and greed isn't actually like track like the VIX. So the way the VIX work is it uses discrete time sampling, and it takes what's called it uses stochastic kernel smoothing. Okay, let me just explain it this way. Imagine if I had a Polaroid camera, and at a certain time of day, I took a picture of the entire stock market, and then I compared all those Polaroid pictures, and I did math between all the numbers. The VIX represents the relative rate of change between all those equities. It's volatility. It's sometimes also called the fear index because, generally speaking, when you talk about markets, they're an escalator up, they're an elevator down, right? So we normally see VIX spike. Now, theoretically, just because of the way the underlying math works, you could have the VIX go up on a day where the stock market went up really fast, but that doesn't happen. Normally, the gains are much more gradual and the drops are much more dramatic, which is why the VIX is often also called the fear index, is because it normally spikes when there's increases in volatility, which are typically caused by people panic selling. And I land.
Hey, Skull, I had asked a question earlier, but there was any comments in the room. What about the market makers? Did they come in on Friday and help save the market, or were they non-existent?
We saw pretty heavy net outflows again. It seems to be, to me, if one of the things I was saying in February, and I was even saying this on Debate the News, is that analyzing the F-13 and what's called the import, which is portfolio level filings that have to go through the SEC, and then F-13s, which are for like high net worth investors and funds. It appeared that everyone was hedging pretty heavily, right? So I'm not saying they knew this was coming, but they knew something was coming, right? Like that there was going to be some kind of chaos, some kind of problem at a certain point. So and so they are, generally speaking, well hedged. But guess what's going to happen? You're going to hear about the ones that aren't. So, just like after GameStop, we heard about, oh God, what was that? Melvin Capital or something like that. It ended up getting pinched by it. And then, after, the 0708 stuff, there were several hedge funds that got pinched. So we'll hear about it. And like word is that some funds actually got margin called on Friday. Will we know the truth of that this week? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what's going on there. But these are people. There's a phrase which is "you live and die by leverage." And if you are one of these guys that was gambling, that was running some kind of leveraged fund, and you were, jacked on Nvidia and not looking at any downsides, you're going to have a bad time, and you probably might have just bought the farm. So we'll see what happens this week on that front.
So I don't understand how or why it's okay that we would freeze the market, and like economy stuff is not my background at all. Like I just find that to be fucking absurd. And the only analogy I can give
Manipulation.
is if people are going to get all their cash out of the banks, and the banks say, "Oh, well, we're going to close until you guys calm down because you can't all come pull your money out." Like that shit's crazy, and that's not legal. So
I
that's
think
what we're
And the
saying.
banks will absolutely do that too, because they'll prevent a run on the banks.
Yeah. So, I think that started just at the Black Friday, right? Skull. After they had Black Friday, what they did, they imply. I mean, they put these breaks on the market. They call them, and so and it's only temporary. It's only temporary to give people a chance to get their head back, and it has helped actually. It's helped. Just like the run on the bank, like when you look at that bank, Silicon Valley Bank, when that was they're about to do a run on Silicon Valley Bank, and they stopped it. And once again, that would have caused a run elsewhere. So it works, guys. It works. I'm sorry, it does. And it's not just this market.
Manipulation.
I don't think it's manipulation because
Manipulation works too, but it's still manipulation.
Skull, you want to talk to that, Skull?
Well, I mean, I agree in principle that it's not allowing the free market to go, but at the same
Thank
time,
you.
do you want your market to be dominated by a mob mentality? And I'd
Exactly.
like to point out it works both ways, folks. When Newsmax was rocketing from its like $20 IPO price to $260, it got froze many times on the upside, right? So like it would go up a certain percentage and get froze. And then they would let it rise some more and then they'd freeze it again. Right? Because they were like, "Hey, are you sure? Are you sure you want to buy this random conservative news company for $200 a share? Are you sure?" And it would unfreeze and they'd go, "I am sure," right? And then guess what? I've not even looked at what Newsmax is at, but I'm sure it's let me take a gander here. I'm sure it's not great for those people that bought at that price. At that, let's see, it's currently at $43, right? So if you had bought at that $200 plus price, yeah, you'd be down like 75%. So there are one of those reasons we freeze is to show, right? The markets freeze is to show people, give people time to think and make consideration, right? And as Grant was saying earlier, you know, if you're in the market, you know, and you wait a while, right? These down days, up days happen as well, right? So that's another reason to freeze. You don't necessarily want people to just go running. And even the things put out by Fidelity, Vanguard, all the people today, and this is true. We have a lot of data for this. Is that some of the greenest days in the stock market tend to follow some of the reddest days, right? And so then if you pulled all your money out, guess what? You're going to miss that swing back up, and you could be in trouble, right? Which is why a lot of people say time in the market beats timing the market. Just especially if this isn't your job. If you're not like a trader, right? Just like invest and wait. And I land.
So, but with this being like a historical thing with the tariffs, would a preemptive freeze have prevented some of this?
They don't do that. They only freeze it when the actual market has traded a certain percentage.
This is why so many people are moving to the cryptos. Bitcoin cannot be frozen. The market is free constantly. It'll go as low as it goes, and then somebody will walk in and buy it. There's no manipulation in the Bitcoin market, but to the best of our knowingness today. But and the other reason I love real estate is because real estate cannot be manipulated quickly like this by groups of people. I can tell you guys, my real estate investors, our 20,000 investors, are very happy that they're in real assets right now while this market tumbles up and down the way it's doing.
Even some of the REITs aren't doing terrible, right? I mean, they're a little bit different, but technically they're real estate, right? I mean, they're a little bit different products, but than actually directly owning. But some of them are holding up okay.
Absolutely, guys. You guys are saying things that, well, real estate looked like it's faring well, but that's not what we're concerned here. Skull, if this market tanks again, all right, the way it's tanked on Thursday and Friday, that means we're down 10 billion in 3 days. What other precedent do we have on that? Skull, are you there?
Yeah, I'm looking over this stuff. Yeah, so I mean, really the only precedent we'd have if we finish with a similar, what overnight sort of signal to us that it might be a 4% decline. Now it's fought its way back. I want to say that it's fought its way back a little bit here. But if we close down another 4% on Monday, then literally the only time this has happened is during the Great Depression. And I'm not trying to cause panic or anything. You're just asking me when has this happened before? And unfortunately, that's the answer that is true. And I land.
So yeah, so once again, no, I know I asked that question. So no, don't feel bad for answering it honestly. And that's what we're speaking about here. When you bring that up about the Great Depression, that's real. We can't not state the facts because people may be upset or uncomfortable with that. So that's and so let's go basically 3 down days, major down days like that in a row, it can be quite problematic, correct?
Yeah, it certainly can. And, I do want to say,
Guys,
though,
wait a minute, guys.
there's big differences between the economy now and what led to the Great Depression. So I do want to call that out, right? If we're talking just pure math, though,
There's been 60 plus corrections since 1928 that are 10% or more. Okay, the market still is up from 1920. How much is it? How much is it up in the last 100 years?
oh well, of course, over that timeline, it's up incredible amounts.
Yeah. What you guys need to know is the average company today in America. This is the publicly listed companies only last 15 years. They used to last 115 years. Over time, these companies no longer have the life cycle that they used to have. If you add all the privately held companies in America, you're talking about a company, the life cycle of a company, and that's what you're buying shares in, is probably short of 7 years today. Some of these companies are mega companies that you know about, but most of them, if you look at the stock of Ford Motor Company, you would have lost money for the last 15 years if you were invested in Ford or GM. I don't know, look it up from 15 years ago, and you're going to see it was probably at $16, and it's probably $8 today. That has happened not in the last 2 days or 3 days. It's happened over the last 15 years. And you're investing in a piece of paper. And the company is going to lose its place. Remember BlackBerry? Probably nobody even remembers BlackBerry. That was a high-flying stock. Nokia, you guys remember Nokia?
Absolutely, women Nokia.
There you go, bro. Where are they today? You know,
They don't have any market share. And
yeah, they
if
were
for
best in class companies at one time, though. Their stocks were high flyers. People made fortunes off of them. But if you kept it too long, you lost money. There's been 60 corrections since 1928. The market always comes back. But it's the market as a whole. And most 52% of Americans are not even in the stock market. So, did you lose your job Thursday and Friday? Are you still bringing value to the marketplace? Do you know how to go out and get money? Do you know what to do with it? Again, if you're just going to give it to the people in Wall Street, they're making fees whether when you buy, and they're making fees when you sell. And that's fine. Good. Some of those guys are great. Skull will tell you most of them do not do any better than if you just literally closed your eyes and invested in a damn just a regular basket of.
Yeah, you're not going to outperform an index fund with the majority of these guys, right?
But if you would have only if you would have only invested in tech companies for the last 20 years, you would have killed them. And your mutual fund or your 401k or your IRA is never going to do that. They're never going to say, I'm going to take this man's 20 grand and put it in 7 stocks. And that's all I'm saying. Now, last thing is, if the market, how far are we down right now, Skull? What are we down, 10 or 11%?
Yeah, we're down a little over 10. A little over 10.
Okay. So, man, if it drops another 10 tomorrow, man, my real estate investors is just going to be happier. They're going to be like, man, I'm glad I put that money with you, bruh. Because real estate cannot drop like that. Now, this would be the time where Mickey comes off mic and says, what about the foreclosures in 2010? I'm not buying single family homes to get foreclosed on.
If we have a disaster the next 2 days, would all bets be off? And basically, to get the economy stimulated, because we will go through a recession, right? There would have to be some stimulus going on, right?
Oh, there's not going to be a stimulus. I mean, listen, I'm just taking Jerome Powell at face value for what he said on Friday. What he basically came out and said on Friday is, we got to wait and see on tariffs. I'm going to finish out my year-long appointment because he's still got a year left on his term. Get fucked. I mean, now that's not exactly what he said, but me translating from his very nice Fed speak to practical terms, that's pretty much what he said. That they were going to wait before they cut interest or they do anything. So, all these people hoping for this kind of stuff, I don't think that rescue is going to come along like you think it is. And here's why. After after COVID, so during at the end of Trump's term and beginning of Biden's term, we printed more money in like a 2.5 year span, right? Than in the previous like 50 year. Like 60% of all the money was printed in like those 2 years. It's insane, right? And that led to very persistent and very sticky inflation. And one of the ways to get inflation down is to raise interbank lending rates, which the Fed can control. However, another way to get inflation down is to have a deflationary activity, like a recession. And that just got handed to them on a silver platter. And what economists were saying after all this money was printed is they said interest rates would not get below 3% in our lifetimes. And the economists that were saying this were like 30 and 40 years old. They were saying that interest rates would not get below that number for like the next 50 years. And Powell now has a shot at this. He has a shot at this if he just doesn't cave, if he just lets it freaking ride and lets this pain roll in. We could have a shot at getting interest rates to sub 3 on inflation. We could get inflation under 3% again, and we could see interest rates dropping back down pretty massively. So, he's going to take this opportunity, in my personal opinion. And on Friday, he basically said that he's going to wait and see the effect of tariffs before they make any decisions on how to move interest rates, which is, people took that to mean that he's going to come in and bail us out by cutting rates. That is not the takeaway that I had from listening to that man. But I mean, I guess it's open for interpretation. I'll land.
Oh, Skull, Bitcoin's at 76.6 right now.
That's a damn shame.
It'll blow through that. It'll probably hit 73 in the opening tomorrow.
Bitcoin's holding up pretty well, all things considered. I'm just
Well,
saying.
it was through the weekend, but now somebody's liquidating right now to cover.
Yeah, and also they're anticipating, right? They're trying to anticipate this market, and I think that's a bad move because, like I said, fear right now is at an all-time high. If you're being motivated by fear, you're going to be more likely to sell when maybe you don't need to, right? So, but these people can move Bitcoin at any time. You can wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and sell your Bitcoin. No one's going to stop you. So they don't even know what the market's going to do. For all we know, yes, it could be red on Monday, but it could be not nearly as bad as we're thinking, in which case, I'm sure Bitcoin will pop right back up if that happens.
Shit, Bitcoin go to 10,000. Y'all finna go crazy.
Jonathan, are you sleeping?
I think he'll be right back. Man, if Bitcoin drops below 30, I'll start
I'm looking at
buying.
him right now.
What was that?
I'm looking at Jonathan right now.
He's frozen.
Oh,
He's frozen. I think he's rebooting or something.
You
But
said
yeah, if
you buy?
Bitcoin drops below 30, I'll start buying again for sure, 100%. But I might buy even before then, to be honest with you. I've never bought below the previous cycle's high. So, anyway, I digress. That's getting too far into the weeds. But and talk about scarcity. Real estate was how I ended up seeing, specifically seeing real estate scarcity was the reason I got into Bitcoin, because I had flown out to Santa Cruz, California, and my dad had this apartment out there, and it was like ungodly expensive. And then he explains to me that the city of Santa Cruz has a ordinance where you can only build 5-story talls, like as far as residential goes, and it's surrounded by federal lands, like all around it are like federal forests and federally protected areas, and the Monterey Bay aquatic area and all this other crap, right? So like you were limited to where you could build houses, then you were limited to how tall of houses you could build, and then you had the regular amount of permitting for California, which is a nightmare, by the way, folks. So like basically houses just weren't getting built there, and so rent prices were just skyrocketing and housing prices were skyrocketing. And I thought, this is really what it's like to have, ever increasing demand with an incredibly fixed supply. And then I flew back after that, and one of my fraternity brothers, I go over to his house, and he's got all this stuff plugged into his laptop, and I'm like, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm mining this thing called Bitcoin." I was like, What is that?" He goes, "It's digital money," and I just laughed at him. And I go, "Okay, you got to tell me what this thing is, right?" And then after he explained it to me, and I was like, I was interested. He goes, "I didn't think you'd be interested in this, Skull." And I said, "Well, the fact that you keep telling me there's only going to be 21 million of these ever made, ever, and you can prove that, I'm actually getting pretty interested." So, that was just a real world lesson in scarcity outside of the supply and demand that you read about in textbooks. Someone say something. Anyway, but no, that was how I got in there. I made two great decisions then. I I bought Bitcoin, and shortly afterwards, I bought Tesla. And Tesla had only been on the market it had been publicly traded for a little over a year. It was a fledgling electric vehicle startup company at that time.
Was that prior to Elon or after Elon?
Oh, that was after Elon, but man, I really should be nicer to Elon because of how much freaking money he made me. I really should hate on the guy a little less. But anyway, I digress.
So wow, I see. So because guys, a lot of people think that Elon started Tesla. Elon didn't start Tesla. He actually came in as an investment after he sold PayPal, and then he took over. He forced out the CEO. I forget the CEO's name. He forced him out. So that's something that I want you guys to be mindful of. That Elon, Elon didn't start this. He didn't start it. He didn't start Tesla. A lot of people are under the impression that he started Tesla, and that's not necessarily that's not the truth, right, Skull?
No, that's true. He didn't start it. I mean, he didn't start PayPal either. He was an employee at PayPal. People think he started PayPal. He was not. Thiel and those guys were already in there when Elon came along, right? So, he's gotten involved in startups pretty early in their cycles, right? And he's brought money in some of these occasions, right? As like an investor as well. But as far as companies that he's actually founded from the ground up, uh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's done that, but I just don't. I can't think of one offhand. It's more. That's not really how he operates.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah, okay, I gotta listen to something. But no, listen to me, guys. So, SpaceX.
Another one.
I'm trying to read. I'm trying to listen to that, Grant.
Another one.
I'm trying to look at your text right
There's
now.
nothing. There's nothing to read, really. It's nothing to read.
I want to play it, but I wanted to hear it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to hear it real quick. But
I'm
no,
giving you a preview of what's going to happen tomorrow.
yo, but let me ask you something. What about SpaceX? Did he start SpaceX? What about the Boring Company? Did he start the Boring Company? What about Starlink? Did he start Starlink?
I know he started Neuralink, right? And I know I'm pretty sure he started Neuralink, and I'm pretty sure he started the Boring Company. The rest of those, I don't know.
Was this room named after the Boring Company?
Only when you come in, Grant. Only when you come in.
Yeah,
Carlos.
actually, good. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. What do you guys think's going on here with this Trump play? Grant, you keep saying trust him. What's the play here, Grant? What are we trusting? You never
But
told us what the play was.
the play is that all tariffs will go away, and hopefully these people invest money in America, and we start building back in America. I mean, that's the play. So there's not going to be tariffs, folks. Everything's going to be fine. We have to rework deals. Like I just finished in negotiations today. It was 3 days I've been working on this one negotiation, and it's been hot and terrible, and people yelling and screaming. And dude, it is just, that's what happens. Like unfortunately, none of none of us in this room were taught this in school, bro. It gets heated. It gets ugly. People get scared. People shout. They threaten, and then they come to an agreement. As long as you stay at the table, you'll get an agreement. This is classic Trump, man. This is classic negotiations. It's not just Trump. It's been done for years. It's not a big deal. Everybody needs to settle down. Everything's going to be fine. Look, the reason you only have 85 people in the room right now is because we're talking about a topic that is boring for most people because they've checked out on it. Money. They would much rather debate politics than talk about money or the latest scandal. You know that's true, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, but this right here is something that I think is political. This is money. This is everything. This is actually stupidity. It is stupidity. So I think a lot of people right now is just trying to deal with like it's shocking. You know, I know anyone here. Anyone
So,
has
so
a
you weren't being genuine when you asked me the question. Hey, what's
no.
the play here?
No, I do want to know the play because you
No,
said
but
you're
then
saying
as
that.
soon as I finish telling you what the play is, you're like, no, this is stupidity.
No. You said no. You were speaking about why people are. You said no. Why people aren't speaking is what you were speaking to. No, I was being genuine because I do want to know what the play is because I don't see the play here, and I don't see. I don't. There's no reason for me to negotiate. If you did that to me and three other people, yeah, okay, we may have to negotiate. But you did that to 185 people. I got everyone else in my corner. We like just hold tight because here's the thing: if we cave this guy right now. He's gonna do the same shit 6 months from now, same shit a year from now. So why cave to this guy? Let's just not cave this guy. Let's stick it out, and then and let's let him suffer and let him cave. He made a mistake when he took everyone on, Grant. That's what I believe. I mean that.
Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, I personally have experience negotiating with this guy. You know, and he wants the best deal. This guy,
And
this guy
and
you're
what
talking about right now.
and what does that look like? The best deal?
It looks like, can I get it? And then once I get it, is there anything else to get? And then, okay, there's nothing else to get. Okay, I'm cool. I'm good. And then he delivers.
Yeah, countries aren't gonna play that game this time. I don't think, Grant.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna yeah, they're gonna
they
band
have to,
together
Carlos.
and hold steady.
Carlos, they have to play the game. They don't. They do not have a choice. Okay, these countries cannot afford to lose America as its customer. Not even for
Yeah.
90 days.
No, Grant. If we were doing that with 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 countries, yeah, 185. Now he did it all. He did it way wrong because I know that the guy's unstable. If I'm a dictator, and I know that if I go ahead and how should I put this? If I go ahead and I acquiesce and I go like, okay, all right, okay, I know he's gonna be back for more later. I know he's gonna be back for more later.
No,
This
but
is the best
you would
time.
be wrong. You would be wrong in this case.
This is the best time. This is the best time to get him while everyone else is there. This is the best time, I believe. That's just me.
Yeah, but he didn't ban imports from these countries. All he did was he put additional tariffs on them, and all that means is the U.S. consumers are going to pay a higher price for
No, it
products
does
that
not
we
mean
don't
that.
make here.
It does
That's
not
what
mean that.
he's hoping that we can bring manufacturing in time to stave off what actually is going to be coming. So I mean, I don't understand how you're saying countries are going to lose as a customer. We have to buy these products. We need them for the packaging that we have for our materials. We need them for the raw materials that we need as far as building cars, all these type of things. The U.S. consumer is going to pay more. We need the produce and the fruits and everything that we're importing here. We don't grow everything here.
I agree. That
I,
I agree.
I mean, you guys are blindly following Donald Trump into a hell pit, and he doesn't have a clear cut example of how he's going to get us out of it. He is going to lead you to hell on a rocket ship, and you are willingly going there with them on a hope and a whim, telling us that basically he's got a plan. I've negotiated with this guy, and he's going to negotiate. And if there's any more to get, he's going to get it. If ain't nothing, he's going to be happy with it. Wouldn't it be happy the fact that the economy was doing okay? Wouldn't it have been better for him to build off of that instead of taking on this fictitious fight that's actually gonna actually hurt our economy, going to send us into a recession? Companies are going to go out of business. People are going to lose jobs. The administration is going to suffer. They're going to get beat down in the midterms, and then he's going to spend 2 years crying about they're trying to impeach me.
Well, I think yeah. Look. I want the man to win. Okay. Once again, I want the man to win. I don't want to. I don't want the man to lose. The man is our president. Okay, and we can't have him lose, but we certainly can't have what's happening as well. That's how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's using a bad playbook. He's not using a modern day playbook. And they keep talking about this has been done before. This has been done before. And they keep talking about this term correction. I don't know where they picked up this term from, but this is not a correction that has just happened. This is actually self inflicted. He is causing this so called correction by what he is doing. The market didn't do this artificially on its own.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's entirely interference in the free market, right? I mean, that's what tariffs are. That's why they're considered what's called a dead weight economic loss. They add no value and they take money. That's what they do. That's what a dead weight loss is.
He would have done a lot better going after corporate subsidies. If he'd have got in front of the American people and said the corporations have been robbing us for years, they're taking our money, they're profitable. All you have done is you have contributed to them having more employees and more profits on their bottom line. He could have won with that. But what he did was he decided to do this tariff thing and trying to save the government money and the American people money when the easy play would have been going after the subsidies.
Once again, I agree. Once again, I agree. I'm the only thing I'm trying to do, guys, is right now is just trying to figure out the play, like the real play here. There's got to be something because guys, listen to me. This just seems reckless, and I'm being nice. It seems reckless. That's what it seems. It seems reckless, and I think people. I don't want to think anyone to think that I'm not taking this thing serious because by saying it seems reckless because I've given it all kinds of thoughts, and like I said, there's 46 ways this can go wrong and 2 ways it can go right. And I mean that. And I'm not just saying that. I'm trying to be an ass or anything like that. I
That
I don't know what he thinks, guys. At this point in time, I think that like I said, it's 46 ways this can go wrong and 2 that can go right. And I don't know where and how we win. I'm sorry, I don't know how we win on this one. As much as I want to win, I don't know how we win. So, and I've been hoping that someone can give me a different insight, a different perspective.
there is no perspective from them. See, Donald Trump has a dollar figure in his mind of a tax break that he wants to give to a certain group of people. Elon Musk and Doge has not found the money that he's looking for. So now what he's doing is he's throwing these tariffs out there. Even though he talked about it, he's throwing these tariffs out there and hopefully that he can make that money up so he can give out that particular tax break. That is ultimately what he's trying to do. And Grant knows that, but Grant don't want to tell you that.
You know what? Then if that's the case, then I understand why Grant is like, "Yo, we winning, bitches." I would feel that way as well, but I don't know what the play is. Yeah, let me
Well,
I don't.
Jonathan, you know it's $1 million, right, to have a plate with him at Mar-a-Lago, and it's 5 million if you want to have an exclusive dinner or lunch event with him, right?
Wait, a minute,
How?
I thought the president you can't do that as president.
Well,
That
what?
is
Well,
against ethics law.
okay, well that's cool, guys. He's been doing it for like 2 months. Um,
Oh, but
so
it's probably under the campaign though. It's not under him as president. That's a way he could escape it ethically.
Yeah,
okay,
but that's for
so
what campaign? What is he running
so
for?
all right,
Senator?
so
Third term.
so folks, how many business people do you think are going to opt for that in the hopes of getting an exception for tariffs? Right? I mean, how many do you think are going to buy that?
But
As
see,
many
if
as
I
needed.
can cheat to win, right? If I can cheat to win and I can do it under the eye of the president, then why would I operate ethically? Why would I? What's the incentive? Trump is showing the world that he can do whatever he wants to. That's what he's doing. So yeah, they're gonna canoodle up against him because he's literally doing whatever he wants to do. That's my opinion.
And you know it's bad when you're like on these stages and you hear people internationally speak on our constitution and how our government operates, and it's like, damn, Donald Trump has them actually studying our constitution and how our government operates to educate us on this because evidently we're not seeing what we ought to see.
Guys, it's you know what you guys don't understand is these powers that's being taken. I mean, let's be clear. Let's let's say like what we're saying is all you know what we're hypothesizing. Like, oh my God, this is crazy. You know, and Trump's doing all this crazy stuff. Okay, there's no reason, guys. If you gotta make excuses up for someone every time, every time you turn around, okay, person been indicted and all this other stuff. Listen, but that means if you gotta make excuses up for this person every time you turn around, it just doesn't to me it's not going to work out. Okay. So now, with that being said, we make an excuse for Trump, and that means America's going to be mad. You lose the midterms, then you turn around and you lose the general at 28. All right, because America's fed up and they want some stability. Now, guess what happens, folks? All of this expanded power that you guys have said is okay. Now do you complain? Do you guys say, "Oh no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that." Is that what we do now? Can we complain now, or is it like okay, all right, it's back to normal now that the opposition party's in play? You can't. The opposition party's gonna say, "No, it's my time to play." You know, and that's the part that gets me. That you guys think that it ends and begins and ends with Trump. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Just like when the Democrats, you know, got rid of the filibuster, like oh, you know, for judicial appointees. All right, and what did the Republicans do? They turn around and use it to shaft Obama for all his judge appointees. Okay, appointments. So I just want to put that out there. So it's and so yeah, and then they did it with the Supreme Court. So you know, it's one of those things right there where once you cross that third rail, there's no going back in politics. All right, just like gerrymandering. We talk about gerrymandering, how the Republicans abuse gerrymandering. Believe it or not, Democrats started gerrymandering. So and so just you know, I say all that to say this. You know, got to be careful what we wish for. I land. Oh, and by the way, also the point was Republicans. This doesn't go away when Trump leaves office. So you guys better be careful how much power and how much authority you delegate to him. I land.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, you know the Democrats, they so humble, they so nice. They don't play down in the mud like the Republican Party or in or officially MAGA plays. So even with these expanded powers, when a Democrat comes in office, I don't have any faith that they're going to actually exercise this particular power.
They won't. I guarantee you they won't.
They better. They
Shit.
better.
You better go look at that interview Al Green did with the Breakfast Club, and now he's telling on the Democratic Party.
They better. Yeah, Democrats vote with Republicans to censor Al Green. Crazy.
And when he was asked, as far as why he's running as a Democrat, he said that it was the only option available to him. And that's sad when that guy says that he ran as a Democrat because it was the only option available to him. And he goes and castigates Democrats and basically talked about the fact that when they were given the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they made all these promises and then deliver on any of them.
Is that your Congressman chat?
No, mine is Crenshaw.
Oh, you got old Patch, eye Patch. Does he still live in California?
Wait a minute. He stay across the highway from me. Uh-huh. Old Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, he was staying in California at one time.
Yeah, but let me tell you though, he is giving the Republicans the blues. He is fighting against Ted Cruz. Like he's damn near been ostracized out here. Because he doesn't like what's going. He doesn't like what's been going on for a while. He doesn't have a problem opposing Ted Cruz and other Republicans or MAGA rather. So, but I'm right on the line between him and well, shoot, it was Sheila Jackson Lee, then it was Mayor Turner, and he just passed away. So, the two idiots they have running for that seat, I wish I lived in the district because I would run, Carlos. God, dog, I would run. I would take that seat easy, easy. But I'm not in the district, so
Well, go get yourself
yeah, I'm gonna get a
ADU.
rental property or something.
Go get yourself an ADU in that district.
Oh, who now?
An ADU.
What's that?
It says accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, we gotta talk about that because that's the
So
district I grew up in, actually. So when I built my house out here, I'm in a county outside of Harris County, and it's very conservative.
Go read that article, chat.
You
I
put
don't
in the
think
chat.
I don't think you have to live in the district because this is the argument that came up with Dan Crenshaw when he was getting beat up about being in California. All you have to do is have a state of mind that you want to come back to Texas.
But I live in Texas, though.
I know. I don't think you. I don't think you have to live in the district in Texas to represent it.
I know. You know what's crazy? I was gonna run for city council a couple of years ago, and the city council member was Jerry Davis. That was the seat I was gonna run for. And he was like, "Are you married?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "You have kids?" It's like, "No." He's like, "They're not gonna vote for you. Like they want somebody that's a family person to run for that seat." And I didn't run. And the woman that run was 10 years older than me, no kids, never been married. I should have ran. But I'll read this and see, because I don't Christian and Amanda, and I grew up with Amanda. She when she was city council, she did nothing. And that's the thing, like a lot of people sit on the sidelines and they aren't a part of the process. Like I've helped to write legislation, I've co-written some lobbyist agendas and stuff like that. Like people I applaud the people that marched this weekend. That's a part of our process. However, those are still tactics that I don't know. Are they futile now? Because what we're seeing is that if you're the power in charge, there's nothing you can do. And
wow.
Robbie, I got you. I got you. Let's get married.
Hey guys, jump in, man. Um, let's see here, guys. Hang Seng down 11.5%. Hey, Skull, are you still here, Skull? On all products.
I am.
Well, how are we looking in terms of the futures right now?
Let me take a look here. I'll look at them in a minute.
And while you look that up, I have a question for the average American that doesn't trade and they don't know the significance of this. What is the significance of the stock market responding in this way?
So, I mean, here's the concern, right? Is like things are selling off, and they're selling off driven by trade policy. But you got to remember that the stock market. So, like I was saying earlier, the stock market was originally created by ship masters at Hudson Bay, right? And they were trying to figure out a way to make their loads more profitable. So ships would carry different cargoes. So what they would do is they would basically trade up their cargoes with each other, and then each sell off a portion, which meant that yeah, sure, you might have made a little less money on something you carried, but you might have made a little more money after you traded with another ship master, right? So then, the total of this is what became Wall Street. The total of this was that each of these ship owners ended up making more money on average. They would have less cargo that would go bad or that they would take losses on. So that's really how modern finance got created, was through trade. And so people lose sight of that now that there's metas and cryptocurrency miners and all this stuff. But the heart of the financial market is still trade. It's trade of goods, trade of services, trade of information, whatever it is, right? So when you see it selling off, it's representing a total impact in trade. So the initial impact is in your retirement savings. What's going to happen in 3 months from now is going to be you'll be fired. That's when your average American will probably start to care, is when these companies have to start laying people off to reduce expenses, right? And one of those ways is going to be to reduce payroll and benefits, and a bunch of other things, right? So if this pain continues and is prolonged, companies will have to start making very tough decisions to try to get profitable again. For some companies, are we still being recorded here, Jonathan? Or are we in the after hours? Well, anyway, I'll say it anyway. Some of these companies, they have no clear path to profitability at all now under the Trump tariffs. There are publicly traded companies, there are large publicly traded companies that if you look at their EBITDA margins and then you look at where they source their goods from, they mathematically can't turn a profit. So that means they will have to fire a ton of people. They will have to reduce costs massively, make huge changes, relocate suppliers, open entire new factories, do all kinds of crazy stuff just to stay alive. So I was going to name specific names, but I'll leave that up to your imaginations. And those are the kind of things that are going to disrupt your average American consumer. What you're seeing right now is it's getting priced into the stock market, and that's because the stock market is fast, and that's why it's getting priced in right now.
And it could be a bloodbath in Q2 earnings as well in a few months.
Hey, welcome back, Laura. I thought you went to sleep.
No, I did go to sleep and I have to go back. There's people around.
Oh man, but no, I'm literally looking at Nike's balance sheet right now, and I do not see a path to profitability for them. I mean,
Nike is what, like 20 years low or something like that's called, right?
yeah, I mean, I literally don't see how they make money. Like their EBITDA margin's 14%. They get their shoes out of Vietnam and India. Both those countries have tariffs on them over 14%. Like literally, how do you get there? If you put a 14%, like if the tariff is over your margin number, I mean, it's a flat tariff, folks. It's a flat tariff. So, like, what do? They would have to fire employees until they are profitable. I don't. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to hate on individual companies here, folks, but like, I'm just looking at some of these different balance sheets, and it's not looking good.
That's
Paul.
Can you hear
Oh,
me, Jonathan?
go Scott, I know you're like long-term investor and stuff like that, man, but I know you don't watch options chain and stuff like that. But for tomorrow, S&P is showing 4,300 puts. It's crazy.
No, dude, I day trade every day. Like literally 20% of my portfolio is in day trades.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like in short
4,300
term.
it's showing.
Yeah, no, I trade a shit ton of options. I probably trade more options than you trade. But
Oh, of course.
I I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how much you trade, but I've had years where my main source of income was trading. Right, like it wasn't my jobs. So, I've had those years where I was a designated trader under, there's a tax election for that, But anyway, right now I'm doing that a little less because I'm, well, in the midst of a divorce. But that's another story for another time.
all right, guys. This is some craziness, man. When you so Nike, I mean, just do it. I thought Nike was always profitable. I didn't think it was nowhere near not ever being in a place where it couldn't be profitable. So you're saying that Nike could possibly, if they don't make major cuts, it can look a lot different. Skull.
I'm saying, looking at their current balance sheet, they mathematically can't make a profit with the current tariffs.
They've been,
Yeah,
I
they've
mean,
been a
just
dying
simple
company
math,
for
right?
a
They
long
just
time.
literally can't make a profit. um, so, yeah, they'd have to make structural changes to get there.
Jordan. What about Jordans? They're done. Like they got to change. So they had to go make the prices really high. Is that what you're talking about, Skull?
Yeah, I mean, they either have to like dramatically increase price of shoe on shelf, or transfer manufacturing out of some of the countries they're currently in to countries with lower tariffs, assuming that they can even do that, right? I mean, and that's why this is all just crazy. It's like, what do you want to do? I mean, okay, does anybody want to work in a shoe factory here? Is that anybody's dream here? I don't think so. So I mean, it's wild. It's just wild stuff. You know, I think we all, at least especially on the right, the ones on the right are really hoping that the kind of jobs that come back are these sort of like high paying manufacturing jobs, the kinds of jobs that used to come with pensions and, that used to make a ton of money. And, you'd say, oh, well, he works at this factory. And you knew that he was able to afford a house and two cars and the whole deal, right? You know, uh, those kind of jobs. It's like, okay, well, there's plenty of manufacturing out there now that is just a lot cheaper. So,
Wow, wow. So Jordan's gonna be like $100, $50, $70 more. This is crazy. I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe you guys. For me, this is crazy. When we're asking about this, when you're looking at this, I'm trying to figure it out because what I'm hearing right now is there's gonna be some major wholesale changes. It looked like Phil Knight about to start struggling, huh? That's
yeah.
crazy.
And Mark, you bring up an interesting point about boots. I mean, maybe this is something that Nike needs to look at. Red Wings, um, yes, they did close some of their American manufacturing and move it to China and to Vietnam. But Red Wings still has some manufacturing facilities in the U.S. to finish their boots, right? So they are making some boots in the U.S. and Red Wings. As far as I know, people still buy those, right? So, I mean, maybe that's a path for Nike. They could maybe copy that kind of. I don't know. There, but again, like I'm saying, you're going to have big changes to a lot of these companies, and so that's what the shakeup is. And I've been talking for a while. I'm sorry, Chat. Did I answer your question, Chat? Like about why the market's reacting first, and that Main Street's going to follow later with the actual pain.
Yeah, you did. I think like I doubt that companies are going to eat into their bottom line for this. I think the consumer is going to end up paying for whatever price hikes of returning manufacturing, if that's really what they plan on doing, to the States. It's not even, to me, it's not just about production, though. It's also about the producer, the people that are actually making it. Like their wages are well below what we get paid, our wages here. So I'm just like, I wonder how the business community at large, globally. I need to ask my dad because he's with Global UPS. I'm gonna ask him. I haven't talked to him in 2 days, but yeah, I wonder how that is going to affect the pricing of our goods. I'm sure it is because I bet that they aren't going to eat that for the sake of America, for the sake of moving things back to America. I don't know. I just know somebody is going to pay, and typically it's the lowest on the totem pole. That's just my concern. But thanks, Carl.
No, that's true, and this is why I also think everybody's saying, "Oh, Powell's going to cut interest rates. He's going to save us," and I don't think he is because of what you just touched on. So first, they're going to say, "Well, you're going to have to pay more for stuff." Okay, well, if you want me to pay more for stuff, you better pay me more money to work. Okay, well, now if you're going to pay me more money to work, it's going to cost more to make stuff, right? Because you got to pay me more money to make the stuff. Well, guess what? Now the stuff's going to cost more. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm not making as much as I was. I need more money. And you see how this becomes an inflationary spiral? That process right there, that is the inflationary spiral, folks, in really simple terms, right? Goods become more expensive. People want to have the same purchasing power and the same life they had before. They ask for raises. They ultimately are making things, which makes the goods more expensive, and it repeats, right? And so, like, if that process gets out of whack, like if it goes too heavy on that process, you can have inflation rates just skyrocket. And that is the nightmare scenario, right? That is what keeps you up at night. If you work at a central bank, right? If you're like at the Federal Reserve, or if you're at any of the 100 central banks that every country has one, what keeps you up at night is the idea of an inflationary spiral, because that is your nightmare scenario. And so, that's why they're going to let this play out. And I don't think they're going to cut rates nearly as fast as people are hoping for.
So how do you think it's going to play out, Scott? Like, obviously nobody knows how it's going to play out, but if you think, or like from your perspective, how do you think it's going to play out?
Well, I don't know. I don't.
Just guess, man.
We're in such deep water here. Yeah, I can tell you in some general terms. I'll say we've had some red days. I'll say we're going to have some face ripping rallies somewhere in here. How far down do we have to go before we have the big green? I don't know. If I had a crystal ball that told me that, I'd be like billionaire economist Ken Griffin, right? I'm not a billionaire economist. I'm just a regular economist. Uh, but what I'll say is this: there will be some major green days on the market. There will be rallies. There will be red days also. And my hope is that the red days don't outnumber the green days. I do hope that the various countries come to the table, but I don't know if it's going to matter, right? Because the countries, the two other largest economies on earth are China and Europe, and they've already decided, it appears to be, to get into a trade war with us. So that is not good. Now, all these other smaller countries, maybe we bring them to a table, make a deal. I mean, I guess right now I see sort of as a mid scenario, we create sort of a new global world order, and our friends are now different countries than they were before. Maybe they're more developing countries. Maybe they're more South Asia countries. Maybe they're more African countries. Maybe Latin American countries. Right? People that are willing to work with us on these things. And maybe we're a little bit less Europe. Maybe we're also a little less rivalrous with China, right? Because they don't have to be our rival anymore if we're not really using them for manufacturing. So, maybe that's sort of a mid case scenario. There's the optimistic scenario, right? We get our manufacturing back and it leads to an American golden age. That'd be nice. And then there's obviously a variety of very bad case scenarios.
But okay, so essentially, we're friends with all the good people in the country now. I mean, the world now. So that means when we redo our friendships, that means we're friends with all the bad people.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying, John. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not saying like morally where we're going to fall on this. I'm just saying like where things are going to be economically.
that's sad. I'm sorry, that's sad.
Yeah, I don't agree with what's happening. I think the tariffs are a terrible move, as I've said many times. But I we're here. It's happening, right? I do think probably what is also another possibility is we end up seeing us trying to backtrack on this, and we're not allowed to backtrack on this, right? I mean, what we might say, hey, we're removing the tariffs against you, and the other country might say that's great, and that's it. They'll keep their tariffs against us because they don't give a shit, right? They've already taken the pain. They've already aligned against not selling to American consumers. They don't care anymore that they don't have access to American markets, right? They'll just the damage has already been done, and they're not going to make a deal with us, right? Even if we remove ours. So that's what I see happening at some point within the next few months. That'll be at least one breaking news story. But
Scout, I
anyway,
just put
I
something
land.
in the chat. Check it out, man. Like just an update.
Beijing's People's Daily could cut interest rates. Shanghai down 6%. Hang Seng down more than 10. That is a brutal day on the Hang Seng. That is a brutal day on the Hang Seng. I lived in Hong Kong for a little while. That's wild. A lot of
Yeah,
green in Hong
they
Kong.
are not backing up whatsoever. China is not backing up, and futures were showing little bit of relief, but as soon as the news came up, it just dropped another 40 points. So it's crazy.
Yeah. One of the craziest things over there is that red is an auspicious color among the Chinese. So they will show stocks that are profitable in red, and I'm like, you guys need to stop doing this. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But like, I literally never got used to it. Like, and I would look at their markets all the time, and I'd be like, I would see a bunch of red, and they'd be like super excited, and I'm like, okay, this is just cooking my brain right now. The idea that you use red to show stocks going up is just wild to me. But yeah, so there's not a lot of red over there today. If it's down 10%, it's not good. And I would like to point out that China is sitting on a $51 trillion real estate bubble that makes our real estate bubble in 0809 look like peanuts. And also, not only sitting on a real estate bubble, they have an inverted demographic pyramid, meaning that by 2030, the age of the average Chinese person is going to be close to 50 years old of the average Chinese person. They have an incredibly aging workforce. So, I mean, typically as people get older, they need less housing needs, not necessarily more, right? You start to Yeah. Anyway, I digress. But what I'm trying to say is like, if we pull China down into an economic slump, that is not a win for America. That's just like us spreading around the misery and actually just damaging the global economy. That's not like, oh, look, we got one up on China. It's like, no, now they're poor also, and that makes it harder for anyone to get rich again, right? So, anyway, I digress. Sorry, guys. I'll land.
Yeah, Jonathan, can you hear me okay? All right, anybody?
What was that?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could hear me okay.
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just my 2 cents before I go to sleep is yeah, just on the management economic side of conversation. And again, it's not political at all. It's just it's an international world we live in, supply and demand. It's the interconnectivity of manufacturing. It's consumers that want the best quality product at the cheapest price. So it goes back to the age old idea of capitalism is this competition idea that the best companies are the ones that stick around, the ones that are the most efficient, can produce the best product, the best widget, the best whatever that people at the end of the day want. Now, Temu, Twitter, whatever, people are just going online and they can see stuff from all over the world. And they're like, and they people are traveling like never, ever before. So people will literally go to someplace else and buy it, like another country, and and bring it home or whatever, move to other places. People, will just kind of seek. It's like water seeking its own level. So this idea that you're gonna have to just come through us, and it's just an outdated idea. It's very 1900. It's very 1800. It's the competitive advantage that America once had. She doesn't have it anymore. And to think that you do is just arrogant. It's just to think, well, you're always going to have to come through me, or I'm just going to bully you somehow. It's just contrary to human nature. And it's just now you have so many best practices that existed, still exist, ways of operating. You can't just throw out like all of that in the name of you're just going to have to come through me now to make us great again or something. I mean, and go pull up slavery and the stock market and see the connectivity when America, I guess, was great. So it's no longer that time of you can just impose on people. People will go to extreme lengths to not be imposed upon countries and individuals and neighborhoods, and that free will to just not have to go through you, it'll make people get creative and create their own shoes or whatever. They'll create their own rather than be at the mercy of. That's why it's an outdated philosophy that at the end of the day, businesses, the stock market, you invest in a company that you believe is going to be winning and making money. And you invest in it and say, okay, cool, since you were an investor in it, you reap the reward of it. You get the dividends. You believed in them, you bet on them. But how do you keep betting on something that won't win? So that's why you see the people removing their hand out of it, like, hey, let me get my money out of this because I don't see how this company's going to win. And then it becomes a thing where now you're sucking all of the life out of a thing. So now the other companies that are left, China or wherever their companies come from, it doesn't matter, Europe, it doesn't matter. That the ones that are efficient can get it done and people can produce something that people want, people have a way to find those people eventually. Those people stick around because they're not as lazy, they work harder, they don't have to get as much, whatever. And therefore there can be a profit margin. But this idea that you can just forever be, just this advantage of I've got more than you, and you just, it's just a false premise that it plays out to where now you just die off as a company because those guys over there are more efficient. They get it done. They got the resources. You can't just run and take their resources anymore. So you got to be a better neighbor. Those were best practices across the board. This is how you don't just burn down bridges and relationships in the name of what, global economy or something. It's just outdated, and it's just not understanding some basic principles of human beings.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm about to go to bed too. I think that this is, as Jonathan said and others, this is a massive pullout and flight because of uncertainty of what's going on and the impact of what's going on. The fundamentals have gone out the window, in my opinion. And so, if the floor drops globally, we could see we could see a massive crash and a flight to de-risk and money getting pulled out of the markets globally. That's the concern here and it's all induced by this ridiculous trade war that Trump is playing with some serious fire here. And I really think that fundamentals are and all of that regarding companies and earnings and we also have to realize that the markets have been inflated due to tech. And I just think that this is it's a really scary, uncertain time. It's devastating for a lot of people. It's kind of a sad state of affairs.
And I'll just add this last piece. What's really sad is you got a lot of great people out of these 300 and what is it, 330 million people in America. You've got some phenomenal people that have been doing some phenomenal great stuff. And those people have to suffer behind these bad decisions. That's
100%.
what's
And
crazy.
supply chains and partnerships that have been created and for decades. It's just yeah.
Yeah, guys, I don't know. America and Americans are willing to allow this to happen. They are. It, go what you said?
For real. I said absolutely agree. We are inefficient without our allies. I was telling somebody in another room, I said, you can't be efficient when you're floating on an island by yourself. I really hope that whether financially or physically, that this doesn't leave America literally on an island by itself. Whether people vote for Donald Trump or not, that's their business. I don't really care what people do. But when it starts to affect the stock market, and there are a lot of rich folks, and one of my friends threw his laptop, and I was like, what the hell just happened back there? And he showed me some chart, which I know nothing about. All I saw was a bunch of lines going down. All I know is it's not good, y'all. And he was not happy because he lost all this money in the stock market. And so whether you Democrat or Republican, this stuff is going to hurt everybody. Tariffs are no good for anybody. $3,856 estimated Americans on average would have to pay extra per year in just fees. I don't know about you, but a lot of folks don't have $3,000 extra to throw away. The math comes out like this. The average American doesn't even have $1,000 saved in case of an emergency. So you think they have $3,000 extra to throw away? Absolutely not. I don't like, Donald Trump or any of that other kind of stuff. But what I can say is good old Texas, USA, everything gonna be built right here in Texas. I don't know, tariffs in some instances won't affect me because I can have furniture and any damn thing I want built here, and I won't have any problems on cost because it's local. So build local, buy local. I think you folks will be all right. I guess in this economy, if you can find a place to get what you need locally, I think you'll be all right because I think I'm doing a little bit better too. Buy local.
Wow. Absolutely, Ashton. Anyone else wants to jump in on this, guys? Because this is like I'm looking at the market and this is crazy that we're sitting here looking. I'm trying to see, and guys, right now we're a little less than 8 hours away from the market opening here in the U.S. and the world is responding. This is I'm just trying to find the futures, guys. Just trying to get all this stuff taken care of. Yeah. I
Hey, Jonathan,
yeah, go ahead.
got a question. What are people saying they doing to protect themselves right now in this situation? Because what I've been advocating for is to just continue to invest in real estate, and that's why I don't like, you know, somebody in the boardroom dictating, my investment portfolio. And it's I don't want to be too harsh about saying this, but I think you even said it earlier, Jonathan. Let's give him what he needs. Let's go at it, however far this needs to go, because this isn't the end of. This is just the beginning of, you know, bad policies. So let's see what happens. I mean, we haven't even got into the privatization of the VA and what's going to happen with Section 8. But I tell people to invest in rentals. At least that's going to pay you rather than banking on your 401k or even selling money. And even, because people are still buying real estate.
Yeah, that's local. I mean, anything like that you can get your hands on, anything tangible. I told people I'm not really into Bitcoin, Acoin. I'm not really into Bitcoin because you can't touch it. In times like this, even the Bible says that gold is good. Silver and gold have I none, and such as I have give I thee. I give something to that which is tangible. So I just tell people, I don't care who you are, gold, silver, and real estate and tangible goods are going nowhere. NFTs and Bitcoin and all that, good luck with that. So I just tell people, do the best you can, make it in this market. But like I always say, because I did during the pandemic, I bought local, everything local. You don't have to have cheap stuff from Temu and whatever else somebody was telling me. Nope, buy local. You probably won't have a lot of problems with tariffs. Food here in Texas, I can get local right off a farm. So I don't have to deal with prices of eggs. I can get them right from the people who have them. So like farms and all that. So I did that during the pandemic, and I just keep the same list that I used during the pandemic. I do the same thing here, and I'm making it. So you folks buy local or buy from places such as HEB and other places that buy local right here in the U.S. So you don't have to pay a lot of high prices for food coming out of Mexico and stuff like that. Check with your states and find out what farms they have next to you. Seriously, because it'll save you a lot of money. Those folks who like to have you.
New market, guys. New market. This is just right now, and I'm like, I can't believe what we're doing here. It is what it is.
Someone in the chat, Jonathan said, for sure call outs. I don't have any for sure call outs. What I can tell you, though, is one thing real quick, guys. Coca-Cola and Procter and Gamble, they've paid out dividends for over 100 years, and they paid out dividends through the entirety of the Great Depression. Even when people were literally in breadlines, they were paying out dividends. I'll just go ahead and land there.
So Coca-Cola, are you saying Coca-Cola is still going to pay dividends, or are you saying that they're pulling back on that in the last so many years? They've always paid those right well into World War I, World War II. Coca-Cola's done a good job. Are they not now?
No, I'm just saying,
Is
like,
Coca-Cola
if you guys are looking, right, at different types of companies that have weathered these kinds of things before, there's only a handful that are still on the market, and those are two of them. Anyway, go ahead, Jonathan.
That's
well, they're
cool. I'm
old.
just here
So I
listening,
would say
Skull.
that they're
I want to.
old.
I'm here to learn. Go ahead.
Jonathan, the company he mentioned's pretty old, the Coca-Cola and stuff like that. I guess I would say invest in your older companies too that have weathered the storm, not just Coca-Cola. There are others that are much older too that have been here since World War II.
Yes, I mean, typically in a recessionary environment, what holds up are things like consumer defensive, energy utility sectors normally do all right. Consumer defensive, like when I talk about that as a category, those are things that are going to be like staples, right? So like that's going to be like Post, General Mills, Kellogg's. Now Kellogg's is off market now because of a private equity acquisition under the Kellanova stock, which is like another whole story for a totally different time. But people are going to buy cereal, folks. They're going to buy cereal, right? Because they need to eat. And these guys have done very well. They actually did very well during inflation. Also, they handled that pretty well. They weathered that pretty well during COVID, after COVID. Looking at other consumer staples, right? Things like Procter and Gamble, right? I mean, you've got tons of things in your home from Procter and Gamble, Johnson and Johnson. Same. Most of the home products in your home are probably either by Procter and Gamble or Johnson and Johnson. You got things like Coca Cola. There's some other dicier stuff, right? So, like, if you think about Pepsi, right? It's like, okay, well, that's a competitor to Coca Cola, but it's under the Yum Brands umbrella, which also owns things like the physical locations of Taco Bell. It's like, I don't know, right? I mean, now you're getting into the weeds. But, when I'm talking about things that are like, well, people are going to be buying these things because they have to buy them to live. But at the same time, if you look at Coca Cola's performance over the past several years, it's good. It pays a dividend, right? I have Coca Cola stock. I'm pretty happy with it. But at the same time, it's not doing anything crazy like Nvidia. That's just not going to be its story. It's about incremental growth. It's about a fairly constant demand for a product they produce, right? And so that's just what their story is. It's a different type of story. It's a different kind of growth. And this is one of the things that really intrigues me is this idea about bringing America back to manufacturing. Manufacturing jobs, manufacturing as an industry is about incremental growth, folks. It's about slow and steady. It's about I had 10 customers yesterday and today I have 11, right? And that's so crazy to me in a nation that has literal exponential innovation coming out constantly from a place called Silicon Valley, so it's wild to me that we have seen a truly exponentiated business model, right? That benefits from something called positive network effects. And we're saying, no, I don't want that. I want a job where I have to work like a dog to get 5% more profit. It's like, okay, I guess. I mean, if that's really what you want, we can convert the economy to do that. But that's not the direction any of us were going until recently.
You know what I
It's
think
kind of hard to go that direction when China is stealing intellectual properties and a bunch of other stuff I kind of read about, not only watching TV, but you also research a lot of this. And China has been doing that for years. And I guess, how does America fortify or protect itself against this kind of stuff? And people, I'm sorry, people, companies, excuse me, taking our intellectual properties and maybe using it for themselves or claiming that they invented such products. How does Silicon Valley or other places protect itself against people who want to use its property for other nefarious reasons or just to make money from it? I have some problems with that in the way China has its government fortifying a lot of its EVs and a lot of other things. There are some issues with that, and it's kind of hard to compete with China's EVs because of that. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are, but China's government's fortifying a lot over there, including fortifying their right to steal from us our intellectual properties. That's not good.
Last time I checked, I don't think China sells any EVs in the United States, and that's actually
No, they do not.
intentional,
Globally,
and
they
that's
do.
intentional.
Why?
Globally, they do, and the reason why they don't sell them in the United States is because China's technology for their EVs are actually about 6 to 8 years ahead of ours, and they cost about a third of the price. The most advanced and fastest EV sports car that we have available is called the Ravon. You can pronounce it several ways. That car actually cost that car is going to cost you between $100,000 to $200,000. The highly tricked out version is about 330. They actually have a car that's faster than that one and costs a third of the price. They are
Why
so
is that?
they are so far ahead of us, and the reason why they are, it's not because they're smarter. It's because we have been spending about 16% of our federal budget on an annual basis in wars, and China has not spent a dime fighting any war in the last 50 years. All of their money has been in research, education, technology development, and we've been spending 16% of it is number 4 in our budget. Social Security, Medicare, entitlements, those top 3 right there, and then defense spending. They have not had to spend a dime. All they've had to do is spend all of their money in technology, research, and education. And that's why they have surpassed us so dramatically. And if they allow Chinese EVs to be sold in America, it would collapse our auto industry. That's the reason why they are. It's not because they stole anything, it's just because they don't spend the money we do.
And they
Yeah, I
stole a
mean,
bunch of
some
shit.
intellectuals
I mean, let's not forget
they
the part where they stole
stole
a bunch of shit. They stole a bunch of shit.
they
So
stole
don't
a
say they
lot of
didn't.
stuff from us.
But you are right. They are now recently, like within probably the past 10 years or so, they do have authentic and very real innovation. They have very and anybody who says they don't, they're also lying to themselves. Because like you said, they have built out an academic base. They have built out research institutions. They have incentivized STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and their students and their universities, right? And they're now harvesting the dividends of infrastructure investment. Investments that at one time America, actually, I know this is hard to believe, folks, but America used to actually invest in its own country. And we haven't done that for a very, very long time. Not in my lifetime. I'm only 37. But many years ago, we used to invest in our own country like that. And I land.
Why aren't we doing that, brother? I mean, we did. My grandmother would have black and white pictures of folks working on steel or other. She had a bunch of pictures and all that. And when I was a kid, I would look through all that. America did have a good age of building things and that kind of stuff and having steel. A lot of our companies now are overseas and blah, blah, blah because of lower costs. There are some problems. America lags in education, which it was not like that 56 years ago. America was probably number 1 or 2. There was a time even then that America 56 years ago had some doing in education, meaning that we really invested in people. Now we sit here and argue over private school versus public school. We didn't have all this stuff back then. You know what I mean? We didn't have this kind of stuff back then where people just argued. Even 20 years ago, people didn't really argue over education like they do now. There are some problems. So I really hope that America can start to lay down what it needs to and start investing in people and not only folks infrastructure. We haven't had a new airport in this country in 35 years. I mean, there are parts of DFW airport. It's like, ugh, you know what I mean? It's old, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, okay, so we have a problem. We need to invest right here in America and continue to do that and start to fortify ourselves, not just invest militarily and all that. We need to invest across the board, and that means immigrants. A lot of people don't like that word, but I'm not gonna pick no grapes. I'm not gonna get in no field. I'm not gonna do those jobs. But for those who want to, allow for a system to work, allow for those folks to come here legally, ethically, in the right way. Got it right. Fix that system. Speed that up. Shouldn't take you 20 years to become a citizen or 10 years, however long it takes. That system could be reformed. That's the kind of stuff I want to see reform and see it done in the right way where people again can come over here legally and ethically without just, some people say, tranching over here. Well, let's fix the problem so people in the first place wouldn't have to flee. Those are some of the things I look up and read about and why people are fleeing the countries they're coming from too. Read that.
One thing that I heard a resource say on CNBC, some of the items that China does make for us, which I kind of agree with. They were trying to make the case that we're protecting ourselves by possibly bringing the drug manufacturing back. I don't think I like the idea of my drugs actually coming out of China, them manufacturing them there and bringing them over here. Have you guys heard about that as well?
Drugs. I thought India made most of our drugs. Is China in that business now too? I didn't know that.
They were
Wow.
mentioned too, India and China.
Oh, ugh. I don't think I want my medicine coming out of China. Or, yeah, we might need to get that on back in America.
I'm curious to ask. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm cutting somebody off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you were good.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody was speaking. Um, I'm just interested to know one thing. I mean, I heard. Um, I'm just interested to know whether anybody. I hear everybody. It seems like there's a sense of panic and there's an air of sadness, and I'm just curious. Is anybody excited about the market right now? Because people on my end, we have been like turning backflips the last 5 days. Is anybody shorting the market at all?
I'm kind of happy.
Well, my friend that threw his laptop didn't seem to agree with you when I was in another room. I heard heard a crash. I'm like, what happened? He doesn't seem to agree. Those lines were way up here, and that sucker plummeted. I mean, his face looked angry. He looked really angry. So I don't think a lot of people are happy right now. Folks who have retirement and all of that. People who are much older than me that sat down and talked to me about retirement. I'm like, well, guys, I'm only in my 30s, but the looks on these older people's faces were like, don't let this happen to you. And they were pointing, a lady showed me her retirement went from this to this. It's really embarrassing, y'all, when you have folks who are struggling, and that is what they depend on. They may not have a portfolio of real estate or other investments. The lady said, I don't have that. This is what I have. And so I feel bad for the people that say this is all that I have. We're not looking out for the little man, folks on Main Street. We're also not looking out for folks on Wall Street either. And when those two things collide, we have a problem. And a lot of folks who solely depend on certain things, those folks may not be happy. But I guess if you're diversified, you may be doing all right.
I'm asking. I'm
No,
asking the
no,
people that are in
no
the
one here has the
market.
money to be a short seller. Don't pretend like you are, because you're
I'm just
not.
asking a question.
And so
Okay,
you don't
sure.
know. Don't pretend like you are, because you're not. And so no, you did not make money on this market downturn. Okay, and so just give that up right there.
See,
And yeah,
I'm
so
not
it's a
fighting anybody.
loss
I
for
just
most
asked the
people.
question. I don't know what an adversary and the meanness is coming from. I asked a simple question. I didn't attack anybody. So I don't know where the animus is coming from. And yes,
There's
there
no
are retail
hostility here. But you
traders.
were
He
saying,
just
oh,
called you
people
out
are.
for he just
What
called you
I'm
out for
saying,
capping.
I
That's
just
all. That's
asked a
all.
I
That's
question.
just
all
What
it
are
called
is.
you
you out for
trying to
capping. That's
get?
it. That's it, buddy.
I'm literally saying there are people that are retail traders that literally got in for the sale on gold before it plummeted. They made money. I know people that actually they are not really high-end traders, just regular people. And people are doing that with Netflix. I'm just asking a simple question. I don't know why you're
Do
so
you?
upset by that.
I'm sorry. Did you read this on a Twitter account,
I
buddy?
didn't
I
read
mean,
this. I'm looking at this right now.
on
I'm not
Twitter.
reading
Okay.
anything.
Do you
Here,
actually
okay, you know
know
what? You
any of
can
these
have your
people?
room back because I don't know. You seem extremely offended, and I just
Bro,
asked a
you get
regular
called out for
question. I
capping. Don't
thought
be
this was
offended,
like
man.
decent
It
people
happens to the
You're
best of
getting
having a
us.
called
decent
out because you're
conversation.
talking to a
But
guy who
apparently,
actually
you're
worked
pissed
at a
off.
Wall
So
Street fucking hedge fund, and you're getting screenshots off Twitter, bro. That's why you're getting called out by me. Now, go ahead. What are you saying?
He don't talk now.
Would you?
Now he's sitting there. This is the problem is he's sitting there with his girl, like, yeah, watch this, watch this. I know the market, and then all of a sudden he started getting called out. He like, I ain't gotta take this. He left. Ay, ay,
Yeah,
ay.
I
Well,
had a
he
short
left.
guys,
See,
and
and
I
a
had a
lot of
short trade.
people are
I had a
not
short
happy. I don't know
trade
how the hell
that
he
I made
making
some
money right
serious money
now
off
in a
of. I
down
made,
market.
in fact, it was a 32. 100% return. So I turned a little over $1,000 into $32,000. But guess what? The rest of the portfolio is down. So what? What I could screenshot my gain and be like, "Oh, look, I'm up here because I short sold this." No, the honest answer is the rest of the market's down. So it doesn't matter that I made some money on some shorts. And if you're saying, "Oh, all I do is short sell," no, you don't have that kind of money. You don't have that kind of money to be a short seller. Your average person doesn't have that kind of money. Because in order to be a short seller like that, you got to look at someone like Carl Icahn. Carl Icahn's a billionaire. He went short on China, and he was wrong from the time I was in high school until after I graduated college. He was wrong for 8 consecutive years before his shorts on China paid off. Your average person does not have the capital or the liquidity to lose money in the stock market for 8 consecutive years. But their short sellers do exist. They're rare, but they do exist, and they do make a lot of money, and they do make a lot of money on these kind of events. And
But it's far in between, though, right? It's far in between. It's not your, and that's why I said the guy that threw his laptop don't agree with you. He kind of like what I said, but it's a fact. The dude is not happy because the market is down, and you're not really making a lot of money unless, like you said, you're this gentleman, a billionaire, or whatever. But that's why I don't listen to stuff like that because I'm like your average American, even don't have $1,000 or $2,000 saved. So I just look at it from that hard mathematical standpoint. And if you don't have that, how are you making? I don't get it, man. It's a lot, man. And when I was doing that in my head, what that man was saying just it wasn't adding up when lines are going down and when people are angry. That man was really angry that threw that laptop the other day.
yeah, and people love to like screenshot one of their gains or something and be like, "Oh, look how smart I am." And it's like, "Oh, you sure are, buddy." The reality is that yes, if you had, but if you had some short positions, you should have downside protection anyway, especially if you're a trader. I'm sure Ravi over here is having a little bit different story. Is Ravi still in here? Because he's actually a day trader, and if you're a day trader, you actually can make money off volatility, right? Because you're in and you're out. You don't actually care if the market's going up or down as long as it's moving, right? Like for you, the least fun presidency was probably Biden in some ways because he was incremental and very boring. You want a little bit of chaos if you're a day trader. That's how you make your money as a day trader. Uh, but that's a different game than what your average person is playing. They don't know how to do that. And certainly than what your long term investors, they're playing a very different game, right? But I land.
What if the market's stagnant? What if we have something like stagflation where the market where stuff I guess that could still be moving, but for the average American, they're like, well, if this is stagnant, then we have a problem. My wages are this, and the market's doing this. That stuff also that I looked up as well. I think that can also affect a lot of people, including your average American. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. That's a big deal going on right now too. That a lot of people are also concerned about. Not necessarily, well, inflation too was something that was brought up, but this stagflation keeps coming up as well with that.
I think stagflation is mercifully unlikely. I know
Hope
people were
not,
talking
man.
about that. I just don't see it. Not now. Not now. I think that it'd be pretty hard to get there and to have a high interest rate but also still have a recessionary environment. I think we're going to go into just a classic recession, right? Just like we're going to be poor as shit, I mean, I'm not going to lie. but
Uh,
but at the same time it does have some benefits, which is one of those benefits are that it will curb interest rates. Consumer prices will start to eventually bottom out, right? We won't see things at the grocery store won't be getting more expensive every few months. Now you won't be able to afford as much because you might be laid off, but but in theory, right, the prices won't be increasing. So that's where I think the economy is headed. I hope to be proven wrong, but that's just where I think the economy's headed.
if you're laid off, there's not much you're gonna be buying except for what you really need. A lot of consumers though did they talked about they will be pulling back on just kind of spending that's just like going to the movies or things like that. They won't be doing that kind of spending. So we'll see, especially coming into the holidays. What they're still gonna make their money for sure, but I think you also see a lot more, I would say, discounts. A lot of people talk about that too. You may see some of that, but I look out to see what the holiday is going to be like because that's always a key marker for a lot of folks to see where spending's at. But I think if we continue to have tariffs and stuff at these rates, you'll see a lot of spending go down maybe for some people, and depending on what it is. And if they still have their jobs, I would hope that folks still have their jobs. That would not be good to have a bunch of people laid off during this time. It's really bad. Really not good. Yeah, our economy's all over the place. Go ahead. I'm sorry, somebody was speaking. My bad.